So today we're going to ask a very fundamental question that I think everyone asks at one point or another, and I don't remember ever discussing this in this class. I don't remember ever having a satisfying answer, but today I do. The question is, why are we learning about the tabernacle? This week, the central theme of the Torah portion is building of the tabernacle in the desert. And the question is, the tabernacle was a mitzvah for that time while they were in the desert. But once the Jewish people arrived in Jerusalem, they built the temple, the permanent temple. And after that temple was destroyed, they built a second temple, and the second temple was destroyed. Mashiach comes, we're going to build a third temple, which will last forever. So what's the point of discussing the building of the tabernacle, the building of the Mishkan? It seems to be a one-time thing. It's a one-time mitzvah. It's not a mitzvah for forever. And everything the Torah is forever, as the Rogatchover writes, that if the Torah is not just telling us events that happened, the Torah is eternal. So what's the message here from the discussion of the tabernacle? Why do we need to know, and not just to know, but the question gets greater when you start getting into it. There's so many details about how the tabernacle was built, and it's really a very to be really invested to understand all the laws of the tabernacle, every single part of the tabernacle, and there's nothing that receives such attention in the whole Torah. And the question is, why is this so important? I mean, when we talk about, let's say, the building of the temple in Jerusalem, even though that temple was destroyed, but as we discussed last week, and Tesis Yantev writes, and Rambam writes that the coming of Mashiach and the rebuilding the third temple will be very similar to the second temple. So knowing how to build the second temple is relevant to us because Mashiach is about to come. The tabernacle, yes, it's forever, yes, it's eternal, but whatever is made by Moshe's hands will last forever. Fine, but it lasts forever. But what is it? What's the message for us today? Why do we need to focus on it? So to understand this, we have to better understand we ask what the purpose of the tabernacle is. We have to ask how that fits into the whole purpose of creation. What's the purpose of creation? Talmud says the purpose of creation is that Hashem wants to have a home in the lowest room, in the lowest place. That's the goal of creation. So when Hashem gave us the Torah, it was the godly revelation in the world. That was something that did achieve this purpose temporarily. But it wasn't the ultimate goal. Why wasn't it the ultimate goal? Because the godly revelation on Sinai wasn't a product of our efforts. It's something that Hashem did. Something that Hashem caused the revelation of himself in the world. The world didn't invite him in. The world wasn't a vessel for his revelation. It was just something that came to us from on high. And that's why easy come, easy go. When the revelation stopped, the world went back to the way it was before. There was definitely a major change, and that's why it's possible for us to do a mitzvah today. But the revelation on Sinai changed the world and made it possible for us to connect the physical and the spiritual. It's true. So the goal is that we should invite Hashem's presence in the world through our mitzvahs, through our Torah, and therefore the ultimate purpose of creation wasn't fulfilled by the revelation on Sinai. But by the same token, we can understand that it's also not fulfilled by the construction of the temple in Jerusalem. There's something about the temple in Jerusalem that is something that's part of Hashem's gift, not that we have done. Before Hashem created man, Talmud says, where Hashem chose a spot to take the earth for man's creation. Where did God take the earth from? He took the earth from the place of the altar, the place that was going to be the altar. That's the spot where Hashem chose to create man. So the altar, it was designated to be the altar before God created the world. So the altar is a holy place. And the temple in Jerusalem is a holy place. Why is it a holy place? Not because of our efforts. It's because Hashem chose it to be. So because it's something that is, because of Hashem's choice, it's similar to the giving of the Torah Mount Sinai, that just like that didn't fulfill God's purpose in creation because it was something that came from Him, so too in a way that the building of the temple in Jerusalem also was missing this element of the Jewish people themselves are inviting Hashem into the world. It's totally coming from them. And that's the advantage of the construction of the tabernacle in the desert. What's special about the creation of the tabernacle in the desert? That it was in the desert. Desert is a place which has no holiness, the opposite of the desert in the Torah order. That the reason why nothing grows in the desert is because the desert represents the opposite of holiness, which is very selfish, doesn't want to give, doesn't want to create, doesn't want to produce anything outside of itself. So that's why the desert, the sand of the desert, is not a place you can plant anything. Versus holiness is all about generosity, it's all about inclusion, it's all about leaving your ego. So to build a home for Hashem in Jerusalem, it's amazing. Yeah, you're taking physical things and making a home for Hashem, but Hashem helped you. Hashem chose that spot for you. Hashem made it possible. What's unique about the tabernacle is that the world has nothing to offer Hashem, and yet, as the title of the Torah portion, Teruma means to uplift. Teruma means to make holy. Jewish people are in the desert, a place that has nothing to do, it seems, nothing to do with the divine mission, nothing to do with Hashem. And yet, there in the desert, they make a place for Hashem. Out of nowhere, out of nothing, out of their own simple things they have in their tents. That is a big message here. That the ultimate goal of creation is that in a desert-like space to make a home for Hashem. There's a lot of relevance to us in our life. Sometimes you feel internally like a desert. You feel like you lost it. You don't feel that there's any attraction to Torah, mitzvahs, the godliness. And you might think, okay, so this is not the place. I'm not ready to make a place for Hashem because I'm empty, because I'm dead inside. So actually, attention came our shoppers. No, precisely because you're dead inside, but precisely because you feel like a desert, that is the ultimate goal of creation. If there's something doing on the ground, that there's a vessel for godliness because of the space that Hashem has chosen, because they're naturally a holy space. Okay, so it's coming from on high. When do we have the ultimate purpose of creation fulfilled? When we, on our own, in a situation where there's nothing bringing us to Hashem, we go by ourselves to Hashem. That's an impression. That's an impression. That's why the purpose of creation is fulfilled specifically by the tabernacle. That's what we study about every year. It's a message for us that even though Mashiach hasn't come, and we're in a situation, we're in the desert of the nations, in the language of the Torah, Midbar Ha'amim. And so we're not in Jerusalem, we're not in the Lashon of Abzev Kesser, we're not in the Waldorf, behind. How are we supposed to make a home for Hashem over here in the middle of nowhere? And then look at ourselves, look at the emptiness inside our own hearts. So this is the Torah is telling us to, if you feel there's no connection, making home for Hashem, then you have arrived. Then you uniquely are able to make a home for Hashem exactly the way you want. It should just come just from you without anything, without any props, without anything on the outside triggering that. One second. Okay. That's the first point I wanted to share, and this is very relevant also to the extra Torah portion we're going to read this week. This coming Shabbos Shekolim, that we're going to read about the half coin. Torah commands us to give every year to pay for the sacrifices. Every year, there was this tax that all Jewish people had to give a half a coin to pay for the sacrifices. And we read this week. Why do we read it this week of all weeks? So one explanation is that when Haman came to Achashverosh, he told Achashverosh, I want you to kill all the Jewish people, and I'll give you 10,000 coins if you'll kill the Jewish people. So Hashem responded to Haman's conversation with Achashverosh, and Hashem said, the Jewish people have already given the half shekel. Their half coins came before your coins, and therefore the decree that you're trying to make will not work. You will make a plan that won't work. What was going on behind the scenes over here? What was Haman saying to Achashverosh? What was the response of Hashem? The Haman specifically was focusing on our weakest point. What is the weakest point of the Jewish people? What's the biggest mistake we make collectively? The sale of Yosef HaTzadik. The sale of Yosef HaTzadik, Jewish people had the 10 brothers of Yosef sold Yosef. How much did they sell him for? So it says that they sold him for 5 coins. If you divide the 5 coins among the 10 brothers, how much do you have? Each brother walks home with half a coin. So Haman was telling Achashverosh, he wanted to point out that the Jewish people are, the 10,000 kikar kesef that he was offering Achashverosh was equal to the half coins the Jewish people, is equal to half a coin that every Jew gave to the Tabernacle. Haman knew all about it. Haman was saying, you know what the Jewish people are? They're people who care more about money than they care about their brothers. And the proof of this is, they all sold their brothers, all the Jewish people together, all the 10 brothers of Yosef, they were only Jews at the time, they sold their brothers to get a half a coin. Just for half a coin, they sold their brother. What's the response? That's why the Torah says, when Moshe Rabbeinu came to Hashem, and he said to Hashem, I don't understand what this mitzvah is all about. You're telling me I should tell the Jewish people to give a half a coin to be an atonement for their souls, to fix the sin of the golden calf. So it says, Hashem shal Moshe Rabbeinu, a coin of fire. And this was the answer to the question Moshe had. How is it possible this half coin is going to be an atonement? What was the question? What was the answer? There's many facets to this. Let's start with this. It says in the Hatzei very fascinating explanation. What was the idea of Hashem showing Moshe a coin of fire? Moshe was asking Hashem, how could I get them to give the half coin in the first place? Why would they want to give the coin? They care about their money. This is something that's important to them. How do you think I can convince them to give the half coin? So Hashem showed Moshe the coin of fire. The coin of fire is just that fire is the one item that never is depleted. Fire creates more fire. Fire never runs out. So the more you give, the more you get. You give a coin, Hashem told Moshe, you're lighting a fire. You're creating more. You're not losing anything by giving the coin. There's another element here. Hashem is responding to what Haman was saying. Haman was saying to Jewish people, you guys are just into money, you don't care about your brother. What is Hashem responding to the Jewish people? What's Hashem responding to? Moshe was wondering, how is this coin going to solve anything? Just a half a coin. Why is this meaningful? Why will this cause atonement? Hashem is responding, it's not just to the fact that they're giving this physical item, it's that they're giving it with passion, with their fire, with the feelings in their heart. It's a coin of fire. Yes, it's just physical, but a Jew gives something to Hashem. Where's it coming from? It's coming from the deepest part of his soul. So it's true that it's just a physical item, but it's coming from a deeper place. Morris is a story about Reb Chia. Reb Chia had a very difficult marriage. Married to a Yehudis, who Talmud says gave her a really hard time in life. And one time, he was walking with his nephew, Rav, and they're in the marketplace, and he finds this beautiful glass container, and he's, I'm going to buy this for my wife. He buys it, and he wraps it in the gift wrapping, and his nephew is like, why are you doing that for her? She gives you such pain, she causes such problems for you. So Reb Chia responded to Rav, he said, It's enough, it's sufficient that she saves me from sin and she raises our children. What was her clear responding? He was responding to something that sounded very superficial, but very profound. We live in a society, we live in a very fast-paced world. A lot of things are grabbing our attention all the time. It doesn't seem that we're capable of achieving the same kind of love for Hashem that generations before had. A friend of mine shared about how he was dancing on the the first night of Sukkot, dancing in Crown Heights. They have all night dancing there, and it's early morning, the first day of Sukkot, and he sees Rosh Hashiva of Alitera, Rabbi Yisrael Friedman, very short, brilliant man, of the Shalom, starting at 5 o'clock in the morning. He's running through the streets, and the boy's like, "Wow, why get up so early? It's Yom Tov." Like, what? He says, "Lulav." For him, the mitzvah of lulav is like, this is what's going on today. There's a mitzvah today. I gotta get up early. There's a new mitzvah. I don't want to lay this mitzvah. Lulav. So the kind of reverence and love the generations before us have, we don't relate to it. What's happening the first day of Sukkot? Lulav. Here. So how are we supposed to copy that? Feel like we have so many other things that give us ADD and how is it possible to have that kind of relationship with Hashem? So one thing we see from the story of Rav Chia, number one, Rav Chia was telling Rav that love is first of all a choice. Love is a choice. And he chooses to love. And he also taught us something about how to give love. It wasn't just that he was that he gave her his wife a gift. He wrapped it. He was showing us that the way to express that what your spouse wants is not just that she's collecting glass containers. She wants the heart of the one who is giving this gift, that he considers her important, that she's important to him. So he wraps the container, saying, "You're important to me." The way he presented the glass container to his wife, when he wrapped it, he made it in gift wrapping, taught his nephew that what giving a gift really means. You're telling the other person, not with your gift, that they're important to you. And how do you do that? Not just with what you give, but with how you give. And he was telling him also something that we need to pay attention to when we talk about the coin of fire in our own lives, about choosing to love Hashem. First of all, it's a choice. Our mind controls our hearts. Hashem built us in a way that our minds are above our hearts. We choose to love Hashem. We can choose. We can choose to study about those things in Tanya that will bring us love to Hashem, just like Rav Chia chose to ignore the things in his spouse that bothered him, and chose to focus on the things that endeared her to him. So too regarding Hashem, we have to take time to learn Tanya and think about those things that bring us love to Hashem. And we also have to wrap our mitzvahs in gift wrap. It's not enough just to do mitzvahs. We have to make a space for the mitzvah. We have to put our heart in this. It's a choice. There is the coin, and halacha is a little bit confusing because halacha tells us main thing is the action. But the atonement for mistakes, as we read about Mr. Torah portion, what's the atonement? It's a coin of fire. It's not just the action. So although we may be like in a desert the moment before, we have zero interest in anything. But the way to make a space for Hashem, the way to bring Mashiach in ourselves and in the world, is a coin of fire. It's deciding that we're capable of having a relationship with Hashem, that Hashem's interested in our relationship, and that we're able to wrap our mitzvahs in the gift wrapping of our warm feeling of love for Hashem. So this is the 2 points just to summarize what we learned today. Number one, if we ask the question, why are we thinking about the tabernacle? It needs to be old news. And the answer is, it's precisely the tabernacle that's not old. It's very relevant to us today. The tabernacle is a space made for Hashem in the desert. We're living in the desert. Mashiach hasn't come yet. Hashem is telling us, you in the desert, the nations, you can make a unique space from that no one else can, because it's not a conducive spot. And second point within that first point is that if you feel like you're a desert, if you feel completely empty, oh my gosh, Hashem says, wow, exactly the place I want a home. I want a home in a place which is just coming from you, that you're inviting me, not because it's a natural Holy Spirit. This is the second point, the reading about this historic portion, the extra portion, the half point, that sin means a person's heart become distant from Hashem. What's the way to rectify sin? It's by the coin of fire, by doing something, deciding that we're able to stop and breathe and generate feelings of love for Hashem. And this is not just about love for Hashem, but as Haman was telling Achashverosh, we don't care about our brother. What was the answer? When Hashem said, no, their half coins come before your coin. What does that mean, the half coins? The Jewish people give a half coin. What's the message of a half coin? The Jew feels that he, without his brother, is only half a coin. That we need each other. Go back to the story of Yosef. The one brother that we thought to throw in the pit, that brother we don't need, that's the brother that rescued the whole world. That's the brother we needed the most. So the half coin that the Jewish people get every year reminds us that we all need each other. And we all feel we need each other. And this point of fire that we're meant to have in a relationship between us and Hashem is also something we have to have with each other. That when we give to each other, we have to feel that I'm not giving away to someone else. This is my brother. That not just there's Avos Yisrael, there's Achas Yisrael. Avos Yisrael means that you care for someone else. Achas Yisrael means that you feel that the other person and you are one. And their needs are your needs. L'chaim, l'chaim. L'chaim Avremo, l'chaim Reb Zev, l'chaim Reb Erel, l'chaim Peretz, Hayasara. We should be a vessel for the coin of fire that we're reading about the Shabbos. We should have the coin of fire inside of us. Whereas Reb Zev Kessler says the coin of fire. L'chaim, l'chaim.